Okay, today what I'd like to do is to draw a cylinder. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do, and you may notice this today, I'm using a different pencil. I'm going to use a charcoal pencil. This one doesn't have any lead on there, so let me get a different one. But the charcoal pencil is a little bit different. I generally like to use the ebony pencil, but it doesn't give me the really black blacks of the charcoal pencil. So we're going to try this out today and see if we like this one better. See how it works. Okay, to start my cylinder, I'm just going to sketch out the shape of it here. Okay. Okay, so we're sketching out the shape of the cylinder, and you don't have to use a ruler for this. You can just sketch it out. Okay. Now what I want to do is I want to have my light source come from this side here. It's going to come up this side here, and it's going to shine brightest right on this, okay? Meaning that our darkest areas are going to be right here, and it'll be darker right here, okay? Imagine this light is hitting this cylinder here, and I'll have a little bit of white there. Okay, so let's go ahead and start. Now, don't be afraid to move your paper some. If you want to move it around. For this example here, I'm going to try to keep it straight for you. And I want to lay down some charcoal here. Now, I don't know the erasing properties of this charcoal compared to my ebony pencil. That's one thing I do like about the ebony pencil, is it does erase well. And it certainly blends well. Okay. Again, it's going to be dark over here. I'm going to try to darken this up some. Okay, let's try tissue and see how we blend it. Again, if you have a blending stump, a blending stump is going to work great, but a tissue will work fine if you don't have that. And so we'll try to blend this together a little bit. Now, I know that I'm getting a little messy out to the side, but I'm not too worried about that right now. I can erase that. You want to focus on craftsmanship. I mean, anytime you make artwork, I'm just a believer in trying to work on your craftsmanship and do it the best you can. And I'm always talking about craftsmanship in my classes and my students, because I want them to do the best that they can possibly do. Okay. It's a little bit more value down here maybe. I was going to go back and erase these edges, but I'm thinking I might want to get some more just value down here. We want to make sure that it blends ever so slowly. I'm going to put a little bit more in here. You know, if you get a little bit too much in the center, use your eraser. Don't be afraid to use that. You know, sometimes when we're sketching, the teacher's like, don't use your eraser, just sketch and don't worry about it. And sometimes I tell my students that also. But sometimes I say you need to use the eraser. Okay, let's blend it and see what happens here. See if we get a nice blending. You know, I like charcoal for some things, but some things I don't like charcoal. I don't know that I'm super excited about the way this is going. You know, it's a little bit easier to blend and you can get the darkers darker, the charcoal. But I don't know, I'm just not feeling it. Like, maybe I'm just too stuck on the ebony pencil. Okay. I can clean this up too. If I want to take a piece of paper and clean this up real quick, I can do that. That might be helpful. And again, if you have a better way of doing this, I say do it. You know, teachers don't know everything. We just know a lot of things, right? So sometimes my students will give me a good suggestion, and then I change the way I teach sometimes because of good suggestions from students. And I love when they can give me something that I can take and offer to other students. Okay, kind of getting there a little bit better. Again, I could erase a little bit more in here. Maybe I go with a really light line in here. Okay, now I can probably do some more shading here. Make this a little bit darker, do my blending a little bit better, you know, make it a very gradual, you know, gradient. Do some more blending. I can probably do that. Maybe darken it up over here so I have just a little bit more, and then maybe blend this a little better. Maybe I want to clean this up a little bit here. This line is just too much of a line. Usually I tell my students that when they do this, you know, you shouldn't have a straight line. It shouldn't be just like a perfectly straight line, maybe. I mean, I guess it's possible the light would fall that way, but generally, I don't know. I just don't, I'm not feeling that. Okay, so what do we do on the inside here? If we have the light still coming here, coming across here, maybe the light would be there. So, you know, maybe on the inside, and remember it might be a little bit darker because our light is down here on the inside, so I'm gonna darken this. You know, generally I tell the students when they're doing value drawings to refrain from drawing lines because, you know, we draw lines to start our drawing, but we want to have the values show the line. You know, two different values create the line, not a mark, you know. Not that lines are not valuable. You know, I think a lot of times lines are very valuable in drawings. And sometimes I create lines, I put lines in drawings, you know, because I think it needs it. You know, to clean up an edge or sharpen up an edge or whatever the case may be. And, but sometimes you'll get an art teacher that says, no, don't draw lines. And I guess it depends. So sometimes it's okay, sometimes it isn't. You know, it depends. And that's I always try to tell my students, it just depends. And I know they want a better answer than that, like when, you know, what's the rule? And sometimes there isn't a rule. Sometimes you just have to know it, you know, and that's what artists do. Sometimes they just know it, you know, they know what it should be, what it should look like. So you decide what works best for you. If you have an assignment and you have to turn it in, you better find out from the teacher what they're expecting, because they may have you do a certain way to teach a certain principle. And you may not know, maybe they don't tell you what they're trying to teach you with that. They're just trying to teach you it. And sometimes I try to tell the students what we're trying to learn, but there's things I do that I'm trying to teach them other techniques or systems or whatever the case may be. And I really don't say much about it, but I am teaching them that, So usually, your teacher has a reason to do what they do. And if they tell you they want to do it a certain way, there's probably a good reason for that. For me, it's like years of doing it, and you kind of learn what has worked, and sometimes I'll tell a student, don't do it that way, because I've done that before. I've had students do that before, and we haven't been happy with the results. So, it really just depends. Depends on the situation, and it depends on the teacher. Okay. If I want to, I can probably go ahead with the ruler and sharpen this up, make it a little darker. I want to put that in there. See, I put it in a line, but I'm going to try to blend that line out so it doesn't look so much like a line. Sometimes in my classes we have drawn like the black iron pipes, and I don't know if you've ever seen those. They're like for gas line. They used to have them for water line, and they would all rust, except for those were galvanized. But we draw those, and we use kind of this technique because they're black and you have them dark around the edges and you have light hitting it in a certain way. And it was a good project, and I would have them use the ruler and measure out. So my goal was to learn how to shade, but also my goals were to work on our, using the ruler skills and measuring skills and looking at proportions. So there's a lot more going on than just doing shading. And sometimes the teacher really doesn't tell you everything that they're having you do, everything that they're trying to teach you. And that's okay, because, teachers know what they're doing. If they've done it for a long time, they know. Done it before. And I think I did that pipe drawing for like 20 years. It was a long time I did that pipe drawing. And I got to know exactly what worked well and what looked good, and what kids liked about it, and what helped them be successful in that drawing. So I would teach it that way. Okay, so there's our cylinder here. I probably could work on it a little bit more if I wanted to pull the light out of here a little bit more and blend it. I could do that. I could spend a little bit more time on it. To do a good job, you have to spend the time. And I know you don't want to stand here and watch me do this. That's what I tell my students. You don't want to stand here watching me demonstrate this the whole time. You want to actually get going. And so sometimes it's best if you just do it and you kind of learn how to do it from doing it. So that's what I think you should do. I think you should just try it and see what you like, see how it works for you. Try some different things. And if you have a better idea than I have, I think you should go for it. Okay, so let's see what we got here. Okay, I could probably, like I said, we could probably do a little bit more work on it, clean it up, clean up the edges, but overall, that's exactly what we wanted to do. Now, we want to add a shadow. So now remember, this light is coming this way, so our shadow is going to be cast, this way, something like this. So let's go ahead and throw some value in there for our shadow. Looks like I've been using a lot of charcoal here because my lead is getting really low. And you can do this with regular compressed charcoal or vine charcoal too. You don't have to use a charcoal pencil. Let's blend it out and see what it looks like. I've been doing these lessons and I've noticed that some of my students are using charcoal. Some of them are using the ebony pencil. I really meant for them to use the ebony pencil, but sometimes they don't. So I thought, that's why I thought today I would use charcoal, just for something different. Okay. Let's see what we got there. Now at the top here, we have to decide what shape is it going to be. Should it be a rounded shape? Should it be a shape like this? Should it be a flat shape? You know, I'm not sure how I want to do this. I've done it both ways. And, you know, I think it just depends on, sometimes it depends on how I feel. You know, when you're an artist, you just feel something, you just kind of go with it and see how it turns out. So maybe I'll just fade this out. I don't know. Maybe it should be a rounded shape. Okay, well maybe I can angle this a little bit more. And again, it just depends what you want to do. I mean, we're not drawing from real life here. We're just trying to get the concepts of value and the gradation and some other drawing skills. So if it's not exactly right, it's okay. Okay, maybe I'll just leave it like that. I mean, it depends on what you want, but you could just leave it like that. Or you can have a definite shape to it. Because I put my light down low, you know, I kind of feel like I should just let it fade out. But I don't know, you can do it the way you want and see what looks good. And then tell my students when I grade it, I'll be like, well, does it look good? Does it look right? You know, do you feel good about it? You know, and if you do, and I look at it and I feel the same way, I'm like, okay, that was a good solution. So maybe you try something that doesn't work and you're not happy with it. You know, I mean, that happens. Like I said, with my work, I do that all the time. It's like I'm never satisfied. But then occasionally I'll look at it and say, okay, it's not too bad. I feel pretty good about that. Other times I'm just like never satisfied. Okay. That is it for today. Go ahead and do your cylinder, make it look awesome. I can't wait to see all the beautiful work from my students, and I will see you guys next time.